If you want to get started investing in 2026, Cincinnati is the perfect market to start. Hi everyone, my name is Ian Cruz and I'm a multifamily investor based out of San Jose, California. I started investing in 2019 with a simple house hack and have since scaled my portfolio to over 100 units in Cincinnati, Ohio. Before I tell you where and how to invest in Cincinnati, let me tell you what I've done. The first apartment deal that I did was a 6-unit that we purchased for $375,000. We put $40K into rehabbing the 6 units, so we're all in at $415K, and we sold it in approximately 2 years for $520,000. That's a 28% IRR, and we netted over $100K in profit in just 2 years. The second deal that I did was a heavier value add rehab that we actually partnered with our Fractional investment partners. So this was a deal that we purchased for $421,000. We put $142K into the rehab, so we're all in at $563, and then we got it appraised at $730,000. We refinanced the deal and returned capital back to our investors. On this deal, we increased the value of the property by over $100,000 in under a year. We also go after some bigger deals. Our most recent large apartment complex was a 240 unit where we partnered with a reputable co-sponsor in Cincinnati, Ohio that's gone full cycle 28 times. We increased the value of that property by $16 million in under 2 years and returned 42% of investor capital back to our investors while refinancing at a lower interest rate, allowing our investors to continue to enjoy their cash flow. All that said, I love investing in Cincinnati, and let me tell you about some of the other reasons why. Well, here's the first reason why I like it. It has a strong economy. It has 8 Fortune 500 companies, which is more Fortune 500 companies per capita than Chicago, New York, Los Angeles. It really packs a punch for the city that it is. A few of the biggest companies are Kroger, Procter & Gamble, GE, Western Southern. These employers create an economic floor that keeps jobs stable and housing demand consistent. These jobs are also going to withstand a recession, and they're very diverse in nature. Whereas Cincinnati is not dependent on a single economy. Reason number 2 why I really like Cincinnati in 2026 is because of overall affordability. So the average rent to income ratio in Cincinnati is 18%, which is well below the widely recognized healthy number of 33%. So in this market, people aren't spending half of their income on their rent. They can afford the rent. That combined with the fact that Cincinnati didn't go crazy in terms of overbuilding new apartments and there being a little bit of a constraint in apartment deliveries has led there to be stable apartment rent growth. Today, half of the major markets are experiencing rent declines, whereas Cincinnati almost always lands in the top 5 in terms of year-over-year rent growth. Nationally, annualized rent growth is actually at negative 0.9%, whereas Cincinnati continues to project positive rent growth because of the affordability and the supply factor that I mentioned before. Now let's talk about why now and why in 2026 I believe that it's a good time to look into the market. In 2020 and 2021, when interest rates were low, you were dealing with a lot of competition and people were overpaying for some of these assets. Now you face much less competition, much longer days on market, and deals are starting to make a lot more sense. My favorite part about this is that now you have more time to do your due diligence and you don't have to concede on some of the terms when you're offering and offer out of FOMO. So the average terms, you're not just waiving all of your contingencies while offering, and that gives you a lot more bargaining power when you come to the table. So I'm going to walk you through a few examples of some single family and some apartment buildings that we have invested in recently. Where in Cincinnati should you be looking? There are a lot of pockets of Cincinnati that I like in East Cincinnati. So this deal that I'm going to show you is in Pleasant Ridge. We have invested in Norwood, which is technically a different city within Cincinnati limits. So some neighborhoods I like investing in. First one that you're going to see is over in Pleasant Ridge. That 6 unit that I told you about was in Norwood, and the 8 unit. So I invest pretty heavily in Norwood. Well-known Instagram real estate influencer Lattes and Leases has invested in Madisonville, and I personally stay in Oakley and Hyde Park whenever I'm there in Cincinnati. So I do like these areas, 10-15 minutes from downtown, but as you head up further northeast, you get into some other nicer areas. This is a nice mall right here in Kenwood, and then our meetup for the best ever real estate meetup up is over here in Deer Park, and then you head out into the suburbs where there's some good school districts, like the Blue Ash School District. So I do like investing in these areas. Heavily also invest in a neighborhood called Northside. This is where my business partner Slocum Reed lives. This is known as the hipster, trendy neighborhood within Cincinnati. It has Portland vibes, and there's always going to be a demand to live in Northside. The next deal, the next flip that I'm going to show you is in College Hill. As people get priced out of Northside, there are some that are moving into College Hill. So we own there. We own both in Northside and College Hill. So on this next deal example, this is something that you can target for a flip on the single family side. So this one was done by my business partner, Slocum Reed. The address here, this property is in Pleasant Ridge, a good entry deal for somebody just getting started or with that wants to put less capital at risk for their first deal. So this deal on the map here, you can see this is the house. He put about $40,000 into it, and he sold it in November. So 6 months after he purchased the property, he sold it for $180,000. So bought for $80K, about $40K rehab, sold for $180K in 6 months. So let's assume about a $10,000 financing cost. That's about a $50,000 profit in 6 months. And that's on a smaller size property on a 2-bed, 1-bath, 656 square foot flip over in Pleasant Ridge. So here's another deal. This is a deal that I invested in as a private money lender. I was not the flipper on this deal. I invest in flippers that have a lot of experience. These flippers had done over 60 flips. We had vetted them very well. They underwrite very conservatively. And this deal is in the College Hill neighborhood that I mentioned before. It was purchased for $95,000. In our underwriting, we had it selling for $240K, and it actually sold for $267K. So the property was bought for $95K. The rehab budget was about $60K. You add in another $10K of financing and closing costs. Then you add in real estate commissions and other costs. Our underwriting had it profiting at around $50K. Private money lending is when instead of going to the bank, you are the bank. So in this deal, I invested $50,000 at a 10% interest rate, and the deal exited in 6 months. So I made $5,000 in 6 months doing absolutely no work. So on the larger scale, we like to invest in multifamily, particularly in properties and neighborhoods that we have an operational advantage in or know the area, know the block, where we're intimately involved in the neighborhoods. That allows us to perform better and manage these assets, do a good job. So what does that all mean? We look for deals that are too big for the average buyer and too small for the big institutional firms. So the 10 to 20 unit space, or maybe like a $3 million deal, you're not competing with BlackRock for that kind of deal, right? Like this is a deal that where you're more likely to find the mom and pop owner, or maybe the parents who pass down this 10 unit to their kid who doesn't actually want to run this building, or a property with more pen and paper kind of leases. They're not using DocuSign. So you find more of that disorganization, and within that disorganization presents an opportunity to run those properties better. Those are the advantages of investing in sub-institutional deals. I like value-add deals because they're deals where we get to have our hand in forcing appreciation on the building by improving the property's performance. So 5+ unit apartment buildings are valued by the financial performance of the asset. That means that it doesn't matter what another building next door sold for. It's not measured based on market comps. It depends on just how much the property is cash flowing. When you find properties that are undermanaged, possibly with high vacancy or tenants that are paying far below market rent because their quality of living isn't great, there's a lot of deferred maintenance, you have the opportunity to both improve the property, improve the quality of your tenants' lives, and also improve the value of the asset. So it's a win-win-win situation. The last part about investing in Cincinnati or any market really is who are you working with? So you're gonna need a property manager, you're gonna need a realtor, a lender, contractors, you're gonna need to build out your whole team. I highly recommend flying out to the market, getting to know people, and going to various meetups. So for me, I went to the Cincinnati RIA, or Real Estate Investor Association, and then I also went to the Best Ever Real Estate Meetup. So Best Ever hosts a conference once a year, but they have a local chapter over in Cincinnati. So I'd go attend those meetups and then try to find anything else on meetup.com and get to know folks who are really doing deals in Cincinnati. From all these things, I ended up meeting my business partner, Slocum Reed, who is the owner of TLP Property Management. And then we later co-formed Three Little Pigs Investment Services, which is our investment arm investing in property in Cincinnati. But if you want to find a team, you have to put yourself out there no matter what. All right, so how do I get started? First, you're in the right place, you're watching this video. Definitely want to do some research. I would start by joining the Cincinnati Fractional community. You can go to cincycashflow.com where I have a bunch of free resources. If you have any questions, I'm always happy to be a resource, or you can comment any questions below. And then I'm also going to be launching a Cincinnati Fractional Investment Club on the platform Fractional, where we are going to brainstorm and put together different investment opportunities where we as a club can then vote on what opportunities we want to invest in. So in this club, I'm not just going to be pitching ideas. This is going to be super educational. It's going to be community-based. I have a network of investors that have closed on over 1,000 units together. We travel to the market together. Every year we have an annual Cincinnati Investors Field Trip. We bring about 25 of you. We've done it for the last 3 years to go explore the market, build your teams, meet PMs, meet contractors, meet realtors, just know everybody that you need to know and shake hands with whoever you need to shake hands with in order to feel comfortable in the people that you'll be working with investing in the market, and also getting to see the neighborhoods for yourself. So if you want to learn more about what I'm building on Fractional, scan the QR code or click the link in the description below. Once again, I'm Ian Cruz. Thank you all for tuning into this video. If this is of any value to you, please follow along on whatever platforms you're on, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. I'm there. Happy to connect with you and hope to guide you in your journey investing in Cincinnati.